Welcome back to the final Exodus, everyone. As you all know, I'm sure, and are aware, that we are entering into a time of great distress. And it is right at the door. There are many things happening, even as we speak. Many events are unfolding before us. And the question, as I hope all of us ponder these preparing thoughts, to prepare for the times that are coming, the question is does God's judgment reveal his love? People will say, well, what difference does it make? Those who do not understand this are in great danger. And I have to say, the subject we're embarking upon today is almost never preached or talked about. I can hardly get anybody to talk about this. So, does his judgment reveal his love? Or does his judgment reveal his love? Why did I put it up there like this? Because when he came, we all think he came for salvation. That's what we think. But check this verse out here. John 9:39 says, Jesus said, "For judgment I came into this world, so that those who do not see may see, and that those who see may become blind." I've had people, actually many people, tell me, I don't like the God of the Old Testament. He was so angry. I can't fathom that kind of a statement, because he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. But we think he's changed. He hasn't changed. We know that the scriptures say that God is love, right? But how do we reconcile these two sides? How do we reconcile what we believe is love when we believe this has nothing to do with love? How do we reconcile that? Before I show you the verses, we're going to go through a bunch of them here. I want to start with the reason that our Father, our Heavenly Father, gave me life. My reason for living is in my heart, but my name reflects what's in my heart. So I want to show you what my name is. This is my name, Mitchell Vincent La Montaña. And you say, well, I thought your name was Mitchell Vincent Mondo. Yes, it was changed from La Montaña to Mondo. My grandfather changed it. And so that's what my name is now, but this is what it would have been if my grandfather had never changed it. So what does it mean? Mitchell means who is like God. Vincent means victorious. And La Montaña means on the mountain. So my name means who is like God, victorious on the mountain. And when my grandfather changed it to Mondo, it means in the world. So who is like God? Victorious in the world. And he is victorious. Have you ever done a biblical study on victory or the victory of God? You know, unfortunately, this subject is rarely preached. And I have to say that believers seem to be some of the most fearful people I know. And we're heading into a time when fear isn't going to get you anywhere. We really need to not fear what is coming. But how do we prepare? How do we prepare so we are not afraid? I'm going to show you. But this is a subject that most people would never want to breach because it frightens them terribly. This whole idea that for judgment he came into the world. Go with me here. Isaiah 53:3. We're going to do some explaining. In that verse he says that Jesus was despised and forsaken, of men. He was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And like one from whom men hide their face, he was despised, and we did not esteem him. The question I want to ask you is, why was he a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief? Most people would answer that he had self-pity. He was despised, and we did not esteem him, and therefore he was a man of sorrows. And I want to show you that is not the case. By far, it's not the case. In fact, if we look at just the next verse right here, from 53:3 to 53:4, we see, surely our griefs he himself bore, and our sorrows he carried. Why was he a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief? Because he carried our sorrow. I have spent a lifetime helping people become free of burdens from oppression. I have helped people out of alcohol and drug addiction and the burden of oppression, abuse within marriages. And I've been showing people that who is like God, victorious in the world. And he is victorious to lift people up and help them with their sorrows, to rescue them from oppression. And the reason he came was to set people free. He was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. You know, Jeremiah was a similar man. He had a similar heart. Jeremiah says, my sorrow is beyond healing. My heart is faint within me. Ask yourself, well, why was Jeremiah so sorrowful? He's even known as the weeping prophet. It says here, for the brokenness of the daughter of my people, I am broken, Jeremiah says. Why is he broken? He is broken for the brokenness of the daughter of his people. Dismay has taken hold of me, Jeremiah says. He says, is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then has not the health of the daughter of my people been restored? Why have the people not been restored? He was so miserable that the people were not being healed, that they were not receiving victory. In the days to come, there is going to be much hardship on the earth. And the question will really be, what side are you on? The preparation you need is in your heart. Because when the storm blows, when the winds blow and the rains fall, a wind too strong for your faith, it'll be too late. You better tie your tent strings down right now and learn the judgments of the Lord. The judgments of the Lord? What does that have to do with love? Well, everything. In John 12:31, Jesus says, now judgment. He said, now. When is now? Let's look at this. Now, when he came as the Lamb, now judgment is upon this world. I thought salvation was upon this world. No, judgment is upon this world. And what is he judging? He says, now the ruler of this world will be cast out. How does he cast out the ruler of this world? How does he judge? How's this work? He does it through salvation. He rescues his people. It says in Ephesians 6:12, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood. No, the judgment, wrong place. The judgment that is upon the world is put upon the ruler of this world. What is he judging? He's judging the evil and the darkness of this world. That's what is coming upon the earth when the lion roars. When the lion roars, will you be frightened? Or will you be comforted when the lion roars? Because he's coming again to judge. He's coming to judge. He's coming to judge. And the judgment should not be upon you. It should be for you. Do you understand where I'm going with this? So he says, our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. In the heavenly places. The judgment that is coming is upon the gods of this world. He's primarily judging the gods of this world. A lot of people are going to get caught in the judgment because they followed the gods of this world. And therefore they fear what is coming upon the face of the earth. But our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against these rulers, against these powers that are seeking your life to oppress you, to steal you, to kill you, and to destroy you. And so the Lord God Almighty is going to rise up on your behalf. In Psalms 18:48, he says, he delivers me from my enemies. Surely you, Father, lift me above those who rise up against me. You rescue me from the violent man. Why isn't this being taught? Why are we not being taught about the reason for the second coming of Christ, which is to deliver us from our enemies and to lift us above those who rise up against us and to rescue us from the violent men on the earth? Why is this judgment, this just judgment, not preached? Why is it missing? Why is it that nobody wants to hear it? Well, I shouldn't say nobody, right? You're with me. So I want to ask you a question as we're closing down here. Why would he go into the pit that we're in and rescue us? And what is the goal that he has for you and me? What does he want to do with your life? Just rescue you? Just pull you up from the pit of oppression? No. He pulls us out of the pit and then clothes us with priestly garments, and we are to put on the armor of God and join the army, his army. And the call for our life is to rescue as he rescues. He will rescue through us. And when the times get dark and very difficult, Will we be struggling for what we will eat and what we will drink and where we will live and what we will wear? Or will we be supplied abundantly and help others? What do you think we should do if he's rescuing us? In Daniel 12:1, he says, "Now at that time," what time is that? "Michael, the great prince, who stands guard over the sons of your people, will arise. And there will be a time of distress such as never occurred since there was a nation until that time. And at that time," at what time? At the time of distress, "your people, everyone who is found written in the book of life," written in the book of life, "will be rescued." People say to me, "Mitch, why do you study this? You don't need to study this. We're not even going to be here. That's how we're going to be rescued. We're just going to be gone." Well, I'm here to say that we have a pattern for what rescue looks like. We sure do. So we need to look at that pattern. Do you know Noah was rescued from the hands of violent men? And that was an Exodus. And Lot was rescued from the hands of violent men. And that was an Exodus out of Sodom and Gomorrah. And Moses was rescued with his people out of the hands of Pharaoh. Moses was brought out of Egypt. There was an Exodus. So we need to go look at those stories and see who our Father is and how he works. And how did the people respond? Well, what is our natural inclination? And what should we do? What are we instructed to do? So in the days to come, I'm going to spend a little bit of time opening up those stories. But I want you to know something. I'm going to be going a lot deeper here into, let's just go ahead here, into love and judgment. And we're going to look at what we think love is. And then we're going to look at what we think judgment is. And we're going to ask ourselves, is there any love in judgment? And a word I want you to think about, and I'm going to put the link below for the video I did on this, is the word indignation, because it bridges the concept of love and judgment, indignation. So we'll talk more about these things in the future, but if you don't know what indignation is, it's a great biblical study and you should do it. So I encourage you, but I'll be back soon and we'll be talking more about judgment and justice and the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news of Jesus Christ, and what he's actually bringing about, what he's bringing about on the earth in regard to his kingdom and his love and care for you. Blessings, guys. Connect with me below. I pray that you'll just write to me, ask me questions, ponder with me, let's learn together and communicate with me. I just love that. So we'll talk soon.